Hey everyone, Rob the Backyard Gardener here, and I'm going to close out my sweet potatoes grown indoors series. I took a peek and I kind of see some of the results, so I figured I would include you guys on what I'm looking at, and we'll give you kind of a live dig up of them, and then I'll give you my thoughts, and then I plan on reusing the vines for a third time and seeing if I plant them outdoors, can I get a probably September, maybe Labor Day harvest. Let me show you what I've got in the sweet potatoes. Okay, so here's the container. Foliage has died and came back several times. I pulled up this edge right here to see if anything was down there, and there was a few potatoes. That's when I decided that, you know what, maybe I should just film it anyway. So as I'm rooting around in here, you can see there's a couple of little sweet potatoes here off of this one planted vine. Not the best camera work, I apologize, but I'm trying to do this with one hand at the same time I'm trying to film. To an extent, I pulled this up right here, and I want to check around in the soil, see if there's anything else that I've missed on this one vine, and for the most part it feels like I've got pretty much all the sweet potatoes that are on this vine up, so I went ahead and pulled it out at this point. Need to get these guys out of the way. I'm not very happy with the first vine. I could tell that it's going to be a rough dig at this point, and that was to be expected, I believe. But anyway, there's another vine sitting here, and I noticed there's several sweet potatoes attached to it. A little larger than the last vine, but the vine looks unhealthy. And anyway, I put these down out over here, and I see that I have a pretty good amount of sweet potatoes as far as fingerlings are concerned. And as I'm rooting around, I can clearly feel that there appears to be a few more down here that broke off of the vine, and yeah, not too bad. About thumb size, maybe a little bigger than thumb size, maybe a little smaller than I'd like, of course. But as an experiment goes, I'm not too unhappy that at least I got some sweet potatoes. I'm going to continue to dig around in here, see if I can find anything else, since it is a pretty large container. There's a lot of soil, and there's a lot of roots at the bottom, but the roots don't have any sweet potatoes on them. So could have been a lack of nutrients, maybe a lack of sunlight, maybe the soil wasn't the best, but the take doesn't look that great. I guess it could have been better. Obviously, if it was outdoors, it would have been a lot better, but it's not exactly terrible. At least I got something from my work indoors. Again, they're all about thumb size, so I'm going to break these apart and kind of stack them in a little pile right here, just so I have an idea. No reason to weigh it up, no reason to do anything more than just put them in a pile, let you guys see what I got. I'm really surprised at how unhealthy these vines look, and I knew the plants had died and came back several times, but I wasn't expecting the vines to be so unhealthy looking. Maybe I can replant those and see if I can get some more foliage off these to grow, and maybe get some more roots and get bigger potatoes. But not looking too hot, but that's what happens when you grow them in a container indoors under grow room lights, no fertilizer added, and just as an experiment. So I wanted to show you the 6 original vines or vine cuttings that I planted. Here's one of them here. You can see how unhealthy it got towards the end, guys. A lot of this had to do with the fact that I had those mites and the whiteflies. It's still plantable in my opinion. The end's fine. Here's the second one. Got a few potatoes still on here. I might replant this one as well. You can see how poorly the vine has now done. It's just about dead, but we can replant these other shoots off of it. Here's the third one. Again, the vine died as far as the original cutting, but all the foliage off of it seems to be fine. So we probably can replant that. The fourth one's over here. Again, same story. Not looking healthy, but the new growth is not too bad. And then the last 2, I found them buried and dead. So what I'll do is I'll recycle all of these sections here. See if I can get that separated. So we got a vine here, vine there, vine there, vine there, one here. Got a couple of barely hanging on sections. Another good one there, and a couple of minis. and I'll get these guys planted in my yard, in my garden again, and we'll give them 4 to 6 months outside and see if using 3rd generation sweet potato vines with no roots on them gives us another yield. Scratch that idea, guys. I'm gonna make these into slips. I'm gonna put these into smaller sections, and then I'm gonna put them in a glass of water and wait till they get roots. Then I'll plant them. I'm not just gonna stick them in the ground like this. A handful of fingerling type sweet potatoes is all I got out of that. But again, with the fact that I had spider mites, I was growing it in an indoor grow room with regular fluorescent bulbs. There was no fertilization added whatsoever. And I didn't keep them super moist because I didn't want to have a fungus gnat problem. So at the end of the day, the vines died several times and came back several times, and this is all they could yield other than a few over there. So in this case, my opinion is you shouldn't grow sweet potatoes indoors in a container unless you're going to give it the proper lighting, a whole bunch of fertilizer, and keep it well watered, and be able to control the pest problems that I had. So we're gonna go back to sticking with planting these outside and growing sweet potatoes from slips outdoors. At the end of the day, that was the baby take from the indoor grown sweet potatoes.